Hello everyone, welcome to my latest project showcase, a data analysis system written in C# using WPF. It allows users to easily analyze and predict data based off of whatever sources they input into the system. It has an easy-to-use graphical user interface that allows complete customization over both the pages and the graphs within the page.
So this is my data analysis project. It's written all in C# using WPF. So you see I've got the XAML files here that I can kind of build through. When I run the project, the app looks like this. The first thing that we'll notice is we've got a bunch of buttons here, just A and B. That's just additional features that I plan on adding that I haven't quite gotten to yet. But we've got ourselves some important charts. We've also got these menu buttons up here that work, but mainly it's a data analysis program, so let's look at the actual data analysis. This is actually pulled from Assetto Corsa. I'll explain how I did that in a moment, but this is the actual data from it. I can add a page down here with this button. I can go through each of my pages here just by clicking on them, and if I have 100 different pages and it extends, I can use these buttons over here to kind of scroll through my sheet. But for now, I've only got 3 pages, so that's what we're going to deal with. When I look at my data here, I can customize the lines and stuff like that simply by clicking settings, and then it'll populate right here. I'm going to do that real quick. So I click settings. It shows me, alright, this is mapping our speed, kilometers per hour. It's from this file. I can choose a file by clicking this and going through. And this is essentially what our chart sees. It sees the name, it sees what chart it is, so I could choose a line, or I could choose a scatter plot, and it'll choose differently that way. I'm planning on adding a lot more different charts soon, and I can also choose the color of it, and this will update based off of what color I choose. And then lastly, to save your changes, you need to hit Save Chart Info, and that'll redraw your chart. Now, add data is actually a live connection thing. This is all from CSV, so I'm not going to do it, but it also works with a live stream of data. Simply just by connecting it to a port, I can input the data very easily and read it in real time. So what I've got here is actually 2 laps mapped out. I've got a first lap and a second lap. So when I look at the first lap, I can see my gas and brake chart here. If I want to look at my data a little bit more in depth, I can choose these heights and stuff like that in order to directly change it. And I could also remove or add graphs based off of what I want to see. Remove by hitting this X and add by hitting this button right here, as well as if I click Insert Graph into column 1 or 2, I can do it that way. But for now, we're going to keep it as is. I can see my gas and brake. I can see my gears. I can see my ride height X by my front ride height Y. I can see my speed here over time, and I can also see my RPM. So in my first lap, this is what my lap looks like. In my second lap, I can see the same data, but for my other lap. And then together, I've mapped it onto the same graph, so I can compare the laps themselves. But what's really interesting is actually how I've mapped this data. On top of building just the data analysis software, I wanted to do something bigger than just mapping random data. I decided to access the shared memory of Assetto Corsa, a racing game I play, and map its data directly, which is what you saw in the analysis tool. Reading the shared memory allows me to effectively see what's happening on the car specifically and see what I can change to better my lap times. After analyzing the data, I was able to pull at least 3 tenths just from the setup of the car around the lap at Laguna Seca. But how exactly did I do that? Your computer is made up of 4 main parts that control video games. You've got your RAM, your CPU, your GPU, and your SSD. And all of these parts kind of tie together to make the video games that you're playing. In my case, it's Assetto Corsa. Now, all of these are important, and they do super interesting and unique stuff to our game, but really what we care about is our RAM. So, in our RAM, that's where all of our variables really are stored. All of our important physics and whatnot that we need to see and collect in order to understand what's actually happening about our game is stored here. Now, stuff that's stored here looks like this. It's in binary. In this case, it's hexadecimal. But it's just a bunch of 1s and 0s. And so we have to figure out what these 1s and 0s actually correlate to. So we've got stuff like our packet ID, we've got wheel pressure, we've got a whole bunch of stuff that exists in our RAM. Now, in total, we've got 145 different things. These are all the stuff that we could see in RAM that just tie to my car specifically. There's also stuff about the track and what I'm driving and all of that stuff that I don't even look at. This is all just what I care about because it's specifically tied to my car. Now what I could do is I don't want to edit these values because that would mean that I changed the game specifically and then I might break it or end up cheating or something like that. All I want to do is I want to see Assetto Corsa changing them and write them down. So simply all my program does is read that. It reads those values and it says okay, okay, and it'll do that every single graphical update, so every single frame of my game. And then I can use that and I can import it into my data visualization software in order to see what's actually happening in the game. And with that, I'm able to make adjustments to my car. I can make setup changes. I can change suspension. I can change gearing. I can change aero. I can change so many things about the car to make sure that my lap is a little bit faster. I can also analyze the data without changing anything on the car and see maybe I went a little bit faster around one part of the track than the other. I can see why I did that because I can look at my gas and brake. I can see my speed and see, oh, I got a little bit of a better exit around here because I lifted 20% instead of 23%. I can find all of these minor adjustments that I can then change about my driving or the car itself in order to do better. Another thing that my data can be used for is for my custom steering wheel. I've started designing and 3D printing my own custom steering wheel that uses a motor for force feedback and uses the data from the game that I've pulled in order to manipulate my steering wheel directly. I can also use the steering wheel to start manipulating things in the car, like setup, while I'm driving. I've made room for 6 buttons, here, 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 and here, as well as a potentiometer panel in order to control stuff while I'm driving the steering wheel. Together, the steering wheel should look like this. While it is not fully built yet, I have started printing and I should be able to upload a video for progress shortly. So, all in all, my project is both a data visualization tool and a way to practice my race engineering, something that I don't really have much experience with, but I find kind of interesting. So, I hope in the future I can really improve upon this project to make it fully fledged. I also plan on releasing this project, so if anyone wants to use the project in their own right, I'll have a release on my GitHub soon. Most likely when I finish my steering wheel as well.